Good morning, boys and girls. Mrs. Jackson. We're going to be talking today about it's cold, snow monkeys. We're going to continue our discussion of this Corklex book. Today, we're going to be talking about how you can go back into your text, your reading, and find information to answer questions. So let's get started. We're going to start with our learning target. Our learning target today is I can use the text to answer questions. Okay, and we want to know what the success criteria is. Our success criteria is I will go back to the text to find answers to my questions. And then we want to know what the relevance is. The relevance is that reading the text again and looking in the text helps me understand so I can answer questions. So we're going to practice that today, going back into our text to find the answers to questions that we have. Your text is it's cold, snow monkeys, and that you can find in Corklex. All your teachers have assigned it to you from last week. So let's go into our story. And when you go in, you see that you have read it, analyze it, discuss it, skill workout, and question quest. Mrs. Carvalho did read it and skill workout with you the other day. Today, we're going to talk about analyze it and discuss it. So let's start with analyze it. And you can go back in and you can do this on your own as well. So our first question is underline 2 words that describe the winter weather in Japan. So that's a question we wouldn't know the answer to right away off of the top of our heads. A lot of us, some of us might know, but we can go back into what we read in this book because the answer to that question is in the text, in what we read. So let's go back to what we read here and let's reread. Snow monkeys live in Japan. In winter, the temperature is below freezing. But chilly weather doesn't stop snow monkeys. They do lots of different activities in the cold. So let's look at our question again. Underline 2 words that describe the winter weather in Japan. Well, it says right here, in winter, the temperature is below freezing. So I'm going to click on my pencil here, and I'm going to underline below freezing. That's right. Those 2 words discuss or describe the weather in Japan during the winter. So let's check our answer. Good job. Let's go to the next one. Highlight the sentence that tells you what the young monkeys learned from the older monkeys. I don't know the answer to that question, but I do know the answer once I read it, and I can go back and find the answer in my text. So this says making snowballs. Remember, that's your heading. Groups of snow monkeys make snowballs together. The young monkeys in the troop learn how to roll snowballs from the older monkeys. Right there. That is our sentence that tells you what the young monkeys learned from the older monkeys. You see it says right here, young monkeys and older monkeys. So I'm going to click on my highlighter and I'm going to highlight that sentence. And we're going to check our answer. Good job. All right, our next question says, what insulates the monkeys' bodies? What does the word insulate mean? Insulation is like a lining that helps keep things warm. So what insulates the monkeys' bodies? You have your choices down below. And if we look back at our section with our heading Cuddling Together, it says snow monkeys cuddle together to stay warm. Their bodies make a lot of heat this way. Their fur also grows thicker in the winter. The extra thick fur helps to insulate them from the cold. So the extra thick fur helps to keep them warm, insulate them from the cold. So what insulates the monkeys' bodies? We can go right back to our text and we see it is extra thick fur. Good job. So I want you to notice how easy it is to go back to your reading, go back to your text, and find your answers to your questions that you have. It's always a good idea to go back to your text to find information. This next question says, underline the words that tell you where the hot springs are. Underline the words that tell you where the hot springs are. So again, we're going to go back and reread. Taking hot baths. These snow monkeys are taking a hot bath. There are hot springs in the mountains where snow monkeys live. Underline the words that tell you where the hot springs are. There are hot springs in the mountains where snow monkeys live. So, what do you think our answer is? Where are the hot springs? That's right, in the mountains. We're going to underline those words and we're going to check our answer. You are so smart. All right, our next question is, what is one reason snow monkeys groom each other? We know from going to zoos and seeing monkeys on TV that they love to groom each other. Grooming means helping to keep clean. So grooming each other, there's our heading. Snow monkeys groom each other whether it is cold out or not. They do this to remove bugs from each other's fur, but they also do it just to stay close and friendly. So when I go back and reread, I actually see two reasons in this small paragraph that tell me why monkeys groom each other. So let's look at our choices. What is one reason snow monkeys groom each other? To stay warm, to be friendly, or to get snow for snowballs? Well, we know it didn't say anything about getting snow for snowballs, right? And we know that it talked about staying warm with the insulation, insulating each other. So, snow monkeys groom each other whether it is cold out or not. They do this to remove bugs. Well, that's not one of our choices. Okay. But they also do it just to stay close and friendly. So I'm going to click right here to be friendly. And that is our correct answer. Last question. Which of these would be another good title for this article? That one's a little bit more difficult. So we need to take the whole article that we read and we need to think, what is another good title? Now our title is Brr, It's Cold, Snow Monkeys. So if we look at our choices, it says Snow Monkeys in Winter, Snow Monkeys Cuddle, and Snowball Fight. So we want to think about a title that describes the whole book, not just a part of it. So let's look at our choices again. Let's look at this choice, Snow Monkeys Cuddle. Well, I know that it did talk about snow monkeys cuddling in the book, but it also talked about a lot of other things, didn't it? So Snow Monkeys Cuddle doesn't really describe the whole book, does it? And then Snowball Fight. I know it talked about the snow monkeys making snowballs and having a snowball fight. But that was just part of the book, wasn't it? Now let's look at this other choice, Snow Monkeys in Winter. The entire article is about things that snow monkeys do in winter. So I think that would be a great title for this book or article. So I'm going to pick Snow Monkeys in Winter. All right. So that is an example of how you can go back into the text, an article, a book, especially on nonfiction, and find answers to your questions. Now we're also going to look at Discuss It. And I'm going to go over these a little bit with you. And again, you can go back into the article on CoreClix and you can talk about these questions or these ideas with a family member or your stuffed animal partner or a real animal that you might have at home. So our first question is, what is the main idea of this article? Now remember, the main idea is what the article is mostly about. So Mrs. Carvalho talked to you about a topic is just like 1 or 2 words. A main idea is 3 to 5 words. It's a little bit longer than the topic. So think about this article that we read, and our last question on Analyze It asked for another title. And the title that we chose was Snow Monkeys in Winter. Okay, so our main idea of this article, we can go back to other questions that we had that we answered. And the main idea of this article is talking about all the things that snow monkeys do in the winter. So we could say that the main idea of this article is activities that snow monkeys do in the winter, or how snow monkeys interact in the winter. Okay, what snow monkeys do in the winter. Okay, so any of those are good answers and good discussion points for the main idea of this article. Let's look at another one. Why do you think thicker fur would help insulate a monkey's body better than thinner fur? Well, let's think about what we know. If the fur is thick, it's going to probably keep you warmer. That's right. Thick fur is going to keep you warmer than thin fur. Think of a thick blanket versus a thin blanket. So talk about this with someone at home, okay? And think about, why would thicker fur be better to keep you warmer? Why do you think snow monkeys spend so much time in hot springs? Well, let's look at this picture. You see the steam rising, and he looks very comfortable, doesn't he? And they're where it is very cold, but the hot springs are like a hot bath. That's right. They probably enjoy getting in the springs, in the hot springs, a lot so that they can stay warm. It probably makes them feel better. All right, let's look at another one. Do you think snow monkeys only groom each other in the winter, and why? Again, let's pull in our background knowledge of monkeys. Any monkeys, not just snow monkeys. Remember, if we look back at our text, it says that they groom each other to remove bugs, but they also do it just to stay close and friendly. So let's think about that. Are snow monkeys only removing bugs in the winter? Probably not. And do they only want to be close to each other in the winter? Probably not. They probably like being close to each other all year round. So think about that question and you answer it with someone. I know what I think. I think they probably groom each other all year round. But you talk about it with someone and see what you think. Okay, and our last question is, which activities in the article do snow monkeys do to stay warm? Well, again, let's go back to our text. The ending says they have lots of activities to keep them busy and warm. And when we think about what we read in our text, that's right, they do snowball fights, okay? They groom each other, they spend time in the hot springs. All that information was given to us in the text. So we can go back. There's our page that talks about them grooming each other. There's our page that talks about the hot springs. They cuddle each other to stay warm. And there's our page that shows them having snowball fights, making snowballs. So we can go back in and look at the pictures, and we can look at our words, our text, to answer our questions. So I have come up with all the activities that I read about in the article that snow monkeys do to stay warm. They stay active, they have snowball fights, they play, they spend time in the hot springs. All of that information I got from going back in my article, in my text, and rereading the words and looking at the pictures again. So again, our I can statement, remember, is I can use the text to answer questions. So always remember to go back into your text, reread the information, look at the pictures again, and that will help you answer questions that you might have about the text. That's the first place you want to go. All right. I hope you enjoyed that lesson. Remember, you can always go back to the text in any article or book that you read to find answers to your questions. So I want you to be sure to practice that as you go through your reading today and this week. Miss Horton and Mrs. Holt are going to be talking about a book on polar bears. So I want you to practice in the next couple days as you go through that information, looking back into the text to answer any questions you might have. And you guys already did this when you did your research for your animal projects. You had to go back in and reread information that you had already read to find answers to your questions so that you can share it with your first grade friends and your teachers. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. I will see you soon.